Genesis 12 marks a significant turning point in the biblical narrative. It is the beginning of God's covenant with Abram, a man who would later become Abraham, the father of many nations. In this chapter, we witness God's call, promises, and Abram's faithful response. As we reflect on this chapter, we will also explore life lessons about faith, obedience, and trust in God's promises. 1. The call of Abram, a step of faith chapter begins with God speaking directly to Abram, calling him to leave everything familiar and step into the unknown. In Genesis 12:1, God says, "Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you." Abram is asked to leave his home, his family, and everything he knows. In return, God promises to lead him to a new land. What stands out here is Abram's willingness to follow God without knowing the full picture. He doesn't ask for guarantees or details. He simply obeys. The life lesson here is the importance of faith in action. Like Abram, we are often called to step out of our comfort zones, trusting God to guide us even when we don't know all the details. Faith requires us to trust God's plan, even when the path is uncertain. 2. God's promises to Abram. In Genesis 12:2-3, God makes a series of powerful promises to Abram. "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." These promises are extraordinary. God pledges to make Abram into a great nation, to bless him, and to make his name renowned. But more than that, God promises that through Abram, all the families of the earth will be blessed. This is a foundational moment, setting the stage for God's redemptive plan through the nation of Israel, and ultimately through Jesus Christ. The life lesson here is that God's promises are far-reaching. When He blesses us, it's not just for our sake, it's so we can be a blessing to others. God's purposes in our lives are always part of a bigger picture, and His promises are sure, even when they take time to unfold. 3. Abram's obedience, trusting in God's direction. In Genesis 12:4, Abram responds to God's call with immediate obedience. So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. At 75 years old, Abram embarks on this journey of faith, leaving behind his old life and trusting God to lead him to a new future. His obedience is a powerful reminder that it is never too late to follow God's calling. No matter our age or circumstances, God can use us when we choose to follow Him in faith. The life lesson here is that obedience to God is an essential part of walking in His promises. Abram's journey wasn't easy, but his faithfulness paved the way for future blessings. In our own lives, stepping out in obedience may not always be comfortable, but it leads to deeper trust and fulfillment of God's plans. 4. The testing of faith in Egypt. Later in the chapter, Abram faces a test of his faith. Due to a famine, Abram goes down to Egypt, where he fears for his life because of Sarai's beauty. In Genesis 12:13, Abram tells Sarai, "Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." Abram's fear leads him to deception, and though God still protects him, this moment shows that even great men of faith have moments of doubt. The lesson here is that faith is a journey. Abram was not perfect. He had moments of fear and missteps. But God's grace covered his imperfections. This reminds us that we, too, will face challenges and moments of doubt. Yet, God remains faithful, even when we falter. Life lessons from Genesis chapter 12:1. Faith in action. Like Abram, we are called to take steps of faith, trusting God's guidance even when the path ahead is unclear. God's promises are sure. God's promises to Abram were not just for him, but for the generations to come. When God blesses us, it is so we can be a blessing to others. 3. Obedience opens doors. Abram's willingness to obey, even at an advanced age, shows that obedience is key to experiencing the fullness of God's plans for our lives. 4. God's grace in our imperfections, even in moments of doubt and failure. As Abram experienced in Egypt, God's grace is present. He continues to guide and protect us, even when we make mistakes.